Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be Ruby tutorial number 11. Tonight we've got something special for you planned. I'm going to be making a Final Fantasy Tactics menu system. So just to get things straightened out or whatever, I'm only going to be doing a couple portions of it, and then we'll actually be going through and building this as we go. This is probably going to span multiple tutorials because there's a lot to cover here, because that menu system is rather large and we need to replace nearly everything inside of the main menu system. So we're going to use a lot of the base menus and so on, but we're going to be setting backgrounds and things like that for them so that it looks a little bit more along the lines of the Final Fantasy Tactics menu. So we're going to be building this tonight in RPG Maker VX. We're going to probably go 2 episodes in tonight, and then we'll probably continue on the next couple of nights. In the meantime, what I would like for you guys to do is find me a script that you would like to have for your for RPG Maker VX that currently exists in XP but not in VX. And what we'll do in a future episode here is we'll take one of those scripts that is XP compliant currently, and I'll show you how to make that script VX compliant. This is going to require, hopefully you don't choose a really big script, because those ones take a lot longer to rewrite to be compatible. But once you've rewritten them to be compatible, generally speaking, you can find a way to make them be dual compatible, as in that they're compatible with both XP and VX, such as my tactical battle system, GTVS, is compatible with both XP and VX. So also, if you haven't noticed, down here in the right hand corner, I guess it's over here, I have created a video here for you that is recording me live from my webcam off the top of the camera, or off of the top of my monitor. So, hi. Anyways, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get the engine opened. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off by simply replacing the main menu system with this one, rather than building it as a second one, and then I'll show you how to change it to be a separate menu from the main menu later on. So over here on the right hand side, I've gone and defined you a couple of base images that we will be using. First, here we've got a menu back. This is going to be our background image for the menu. We'll have an option to enable whether or not we want this menu back, or whether we want the map as the menu back, or if you want perhaps a radial blur, very similar to the battle system background that they currently use in RPG Maker VX. Excuse me, got the hiccups. Aside from that, we've also got a menu cursor. This is to represent the selection, and then we've got a command menu background. So this is going to be our background image for our command menu once we actually create it. And then the last thing is a hand. This hand is going to replace the selection. You know how it always creates the little box around the selection. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave that box, but what we're also going to do is we're going to set that hand. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So let's go ahead and get on down to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this off. We're going to open up the script editor and create a new script section. And inside of here, we're going to just say scene menu is less than scene base. And then we need to start deciding what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. Okay, so I was going to go and find a video, but I didn't end up doing that. So I'm just going to try to do my best from memory. So the menu is going to render a background. So we can go look at scene base and find out, because I know it's got a background, a create background method already. And so all we need to do is call that method. So here we've got the snapshot for background, and then it sets the background here, and create menu background, which is going to set that background image into here. So that's what we're going to use. So we're just going to say create menu background, and just like that, you've got a background, which is the map. So outside of that, now we decide where we want to blur it, or whether we want to load this menu back image. So we need to have some sort of a constant or something to tell us, or a settings module. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a module, and we're going to call this FFT menu. You can call it whatever you want. That's just the option I'm going to go with. And then we're going to say menu background option or type. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll specify a type. We'll go ahead and just put 0. Now what we need to do is we need to define what is 0. So currently it doesn't mean anything. So let's go and let's give it some other definitions. So menu background type, and we said 0, so let's say 0 is map background. Okay, 1 is blur background, like battle system. And option number 2 is going to be background image. Okay, and so here we're going to put background image. And then we're going to set that equal to the text of the file name that is our, which is going to be our background image. So that way there, you've got a base, you've got a default, and then they can change it if they want to be a different type of background if they want it. So here we've got our menu background type is 0, so right now we should be getting a base menu background. Okay, so the next part we're going to do is we're just going to throw in a if, and we're going to say if input.trigger input:C, or actually let's go with B since that's the cancel technique. Sound.play cancel, and scene equals scene map.new. Okay, so as of right now, this scene should work. All it's going to do is open up the map. I'm sorry, it's going to open up a blank scene, it's going to render the background, and then if you press the cancel button, it's going to cancel out and should reset because the scene is not equal to itself. Therefore, it should cancel out of the scene and return back to the map. So let's just go ahead and try that out real quick. Alright, so we just have to open up the menu, and as you can see, it kind of grayed it out, but nothing else. We hit cancel, and I'm getting a dispose for nil class, which is command.dispose. Oh, the reason why is because we didn't replace the base scene menu. We called it, we did it as just regular scene menu, so it still executes the terminate method that it calls. It's calling a command window, a gold window, and a status window, which we'll get to each of those. What we'll probably do is just replace this method down here. So what we'll do is we'll just say terminate, and we'll say super dispose menu background, and we'll leave it at that. Try it one more time just to verify our results. Open the menu, close the menu, know our message, and everything's good. So that is creating just the menu back. So let's go through and create our alternate types. So here we can say if FFT menu : and we are going to say menu background type. You know what, let's do case off of that. Okay, so when it is 1 for the blur background method, and when it is 2, the replace the background method, then what we'll do is we'll go through and replace the background with the appropriate background. So first off, let's go through and do the when one, which is the blur method. Okay, so what we need to do is go look at how the battle system does it. So let's open up scene battle, and it says sprite set battle and create info viewport. It doesn't really cover it. So let's look at sprite set battle, which is probably where it's going to be at. Okay, so here we've got our background. It's going to be getting the bitmap. It takes that from bitmap source, which is the background bitmap that we have already used. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this method right here, we're going to copy it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to copy that down here into our script. We're going to say, oops, create blur back. Okay, we'll create that method now, blur back. We'll paste in this, remove this text here. So here it's got all of the information on what it's supposed to be gathering that picture. Let's go look at scene base and make sure it's not clearing the graphic here. After it sets it, it does not look to be, so we're good there. So we'll go back to our menu here. Actually, back to scene base here. They're calling it menu back sprite, and that's the one we want to manipulate. So down here we're going to say menu back sprite, menu back sprite, menu back sprite, sprite. See, this is exciting, isn't it? And now all of those have been replaced with the appropriate one. And let's set this to the value of 1. And let's try that uno mas. Oh, you know what we probably need to do? Because we're setting this one here as a new one, we probably need to take menu back.sprite and dispose it before we do that, because we had already defined it right here. So because it was already created during this method, we have to dispose it before we reassign it to something new. Otherwise that picture might stay there for a little bit longer before it's disposed of automatically by the system. So let's just run that one more time now. I think I set the value for it. And there you go, you've got a blurry background. Close it and you are back. So we've got our second method in now. Okay, so now we need our third method. And so we're going to, number 1, set the value up here, and then we're going to say create image back. Okay, and again we're going to do a method. The reason for doing a method is because other people can then add upon your menu. So if they want to do something special, they need to have a place to insert it. So it's always a very good idea to keep it very modular. By modular I mean that each piece can be replaced individually without breaking the whole thing. That was one of the flaws with RPG Maker XP, because they had everything stacked into one class and they weren't separated. So the only way you could replace something was to replace the entire method instead of just that single piece of it. So our back image is actually going to be a pretty easy thing to do. So all we need to do is we need to go fetch the bitmap. Okay, so we're going to say bitmap equals cache dot, and I put that in the system folder, so we're going to say system, and then we're going to call the FFT menu : background image, just like that. So that will fetch the bitmap. Then we just say bitmap equals bitmap, and now we go ahead and run that one more time. We should have our appropriate background. And there you have it. We cancel it, it still all closes, disposes of the menus appropriately, and we are done with our background. So that's the first part of it. Now, the next part is drawing our characters on it. So in Final Fantasy Tactics, the way they would do it is that you would take a character, you'd have one here in the corner of the screen, you'd have the next one, the next one, the next one, until they filled up that line, and then they'd jump down to the next line, and then the next line, and then the next line, etc. As far as I know, there was no limit to the number of characters you could have in your party. Now, I already know that there was a a max member change that we went through last week for the large party fix. So you should know how to edit the total or max number of party members that you can have in your party. So I'm going to just double check the setting on that real quick to make sure that I can add a large number of parties or members. So I've got 8, that should be plenty. And this girl here I think was the one to add the extra party members, so we're just going to pull her over there. And now just having the extra party members doesn't tell our menu how to draw it though, so we have to tell it draw the party members. So here we've got our create menu background. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that stuff right there, and we're going to create a super method of create menu background. I'm sorry, a child method. So this one's going to call super, which is going to call the upper, and then we're just going to do that. So that way there I can keep my start method clean. Okay, so under start we're going to say create characters. Okay, so create characters is going to draw out all of our characters and so on onto the screen. So we need to we need to figure out how we're going to draw the characters, whether that be the faces, whether that be their character icons, their walking sprites, or whatever. So I'm going to go with their walking sprites to stay more true with the Final Fantasy Tactics menu. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a subclass of the game character. Now the reason we're doing this is because game character tells the sprite character, which is what we're going to use to draw them on the screen, because it's already got all the methods for parsing out their character index and all of that stuff to make them draw appropriately on the screen. So we're going to use that class in order to figure out how we're going to draw that. But the game character is the one who determines where, as in X and Y, that appears. But it always goes based off of a X and Y. But we don't want to play with the current X and Y, because that then plays with the character. If they're on the map, it will move them. So we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to change, or we're going to create a new game character, and we're going to pass it the character that we want to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to find game character, which is here, and it doesn't have a superclass. So we're just going to take that, and we're going to create a new section down here, and we're going to call this one game, or better yet, menu character. Okay, so it's going to retain all of the methods and everything that's within game character, but we're going to add a couple of things to it. Okay, so number one, game character, when it is initialized, it does not require any information and initializes with no other data. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this character name and character index to populate the data we for the actor we want to actually draw, and we'll pass the actor to it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say def initialize, and then we'll pass it a character. And then inside of this character, we're going to say, first and foremost, super, so it does everything the game character does. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say character name equals, and we're going to say character dot character name and character dot character index. Okay, and then we're going to create two new methods here. We're going to call this one place, and we're going to give it an X and a Y. And the X and Y we're going to give it is going to be on the screen. So we're going to have it figure out the actual X and Y as far as the 32 by 32 cell that they actually belong in. So what we're going to do is we're going to take x, and we're going to divide it by 32, and then we're going to make sure that it does not exceed the maximum screen size. I guess we don't really need to do that though. There's really no reason to bother. So we'll just say x is equal to that, and y is equal to y divided by 32. Because again, that gives us the coordinates as the x and y is in the 32-bit variation as to where they are. Okay. The second part of that though is setting the real x and real y. Okay. The real x and real y is represented as to where they actually are. The x and the y is just the mass coordinate as far as this is where I am. So that's how it actually figures out how to transfer a character from this place over to this place. So we're going to use their method of that, which is x times by, and it's going to be 256. So in XP it was 128, but in VX it's 256. So we're going to take that and we're going to change that to y, and there we have it. So that is our place technique. Okay, and then our next one is going to be a move to technique, because we want them to be able to move from this place over to this place on the screen. So when I select them up here for the equipment menu, what they're going to do is they're going to come from here and they're going to slide across the screen down over here into the corner, thereby moving into their new location. So that's that's the plan anyways. That's how we're going to do it. So what we need to do is go look at game character and see if they already have a move to method, which I think they do, but apparently not. It doesn't have any move methods. I'm surprised by that. Oh, that's sprite character. No wonder. Move to, here we are, and it does set our x and y. So the x and y here, this is the taking the actual x and y coordinate and then transposing that into a screen coordinate, which was the opposite of what we just barely did. We gave it a screen coordinate and said transpose that into a map coordinate and then go from there. So we need to make a new move to method, which is going to set our x and y. So what we're going to do is we're just going to call this one set. Okay, so we're going to say set, and we're going to provide it a x and y. And then we are going to provide it the, let's see, we want to just set x equal to x and y equal to y. And we'll probably be passing it screen coordinates again, so we'll probably want to divide that by 32. But this time we're not going to set the real x and real y, because if we set those, then what you're going to end up with is that they're just going to blink from here to there, because it uses the real x in order to determine whether or not they still need to move further to actually get to their location. So I think that's all we need for our menu character, so we can now use that up above. But we are now at 23 minutes, so I'm going to cut this short. We're going to break for just a moment, and we'll come back for part 2 in just a moment. I'm going to go grab me a drink of water. So, see you guys.